Alright, welcome back to the lesson on the Next Gen Garage series. And since we've gotten through everything on both the left front and right front suspension, all we have left on the front end now is just camber, caster, and toe. Your basic front end alignment. And basically, we're going to go over these one at a time. And we're going to talk about camber first. Now, camber is basically the angle of the tire in relation to the vehicle, where you're looking at the tire from the front of the vehicle or looking at the tire head straight on. And on the right front, if the top of the tire, actually on either side, don't matter which side of the car you're on, if the top of the tire tilts inward toward the car, that is negative camber. And if the top of the tire points outward away from the car, that's positive camber. Now, why is that important? The reason you want camber is, the purpose of camber is to make sure that you're getting the maximum amount of tire contact patch in contact with the track. So we use camber to do that. Now, a thinking person would say, well, wouldn't the tire being straight up and down with 0 degrees of camber produce the best contact patch? On the straightaway, that is true. However, when you go into the corner and the weight transfers up to the left front or up to the right front corner, right front tire, and the suspension compresses and the left rear of the car comes up off the ground, that suspension travel change will change the caster angle. So if it was straight up and down coming down the straightaway, where it would be perfect, when you go into the corner, the tire will actually gain positive camber as you come into the corner, and it'll actually be rolling on the outside sidewall. So what we do is we put negative camber into the left or to the right front wheel and a little bit of positive camber into the left front wheel in order to hopefully get the tire as close to being flat on the track as possible from about the center of the apex of the corner. That's where we need the traction the most. And the best way to make sure that we got the camber angle set right is we got to look at tire temperatures and tire wear patterns as we drive the car. So right now I've got it set with the camber as low as we can get it, or as positive as we can get it on the right front, and as negative as we can get it on the left front. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a ride out here for a little bit. I'm not going to take you long because I'm going to be putting several laps. So basically, when you're doing camber adjustments or camber changes to the car, you want to effectively run about 15 or 20 laps. So right now, we haven't run yet, so all of our tread is at 100% on all 4 wheels. And then I'll go through and show you here after we come back, which will take just a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds for you guys. So see you in a second. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you along for a minute here for a lap or two of this run to show you how the car is reacting to these camber settings in the front end. And what it's doing is, since I've got the minimum amount of camber, or I've got as much, the right front camber is set as vertical as I can get it, and the left front camber is actually negative slightly, I'm not getting an optimal tire patch through the corner. So it's actually understeering a little bit, or it's tight. When I come into the corner, it's not wanting to turn. So I just wanted to kind of let you guys have a chance to see that. We'll see you here in a few seconds. Alright, we're back. We just run 20 laps on these tires just to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at here. And we jump over into the chassis setup. We'll look at our suspension settings again. We got negative 3.2 degrees of camber on the right front and negative 9 degrees on the left front. So when we come back over to the tire section, this is how you tell if your camber is set close or right or whatnot. And you do it by looking not only at your tire temperatures, but also your tire tread remaining, or the amount of wear that the tire is experiencing. And you notice you got here, we've got our inside, middle, and outside of the tire temperature, and then of course the amount of tread remaining, or how much wear has happened. Now on this right front tire don't look too bad. That negative 3.2 degrees of negative camber actually is pretty close, because our tire is pretty much wearing pretty even across. We got a little bit less wear on the outside than we do in the middle and the inside, but this for the most part is wearing pretty smooth, and our tire temperatures are kind of reflecting that. We got a little bit more heat in the inside, just a slight drop in the center, and a little slight more drop on the outside. So this one here is actually probably as optimal as it's going to get. This one's probably set about right. Now we look at the left front on the other hand. And the left front's doing what we call coning. Notice the outside of the tire is still new. There's no wear to it at all. Then the inside of the tire is starting to show some wear. And then of course the middle of the tire. So, and then our temperatures are showing the same thing. They're showing the tire basically riding on the inside edge, which if we look at our camber setting, we've actually got the tire tilted toward the inside of the car, so when we're running it around the track, we're actually running on the inside sidewall, or running on the inside part of the tire. And our wear and our temperatures reflect that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust on this a little bit, and then show you what everything should look like when everything's running optimally. And we'll be back in a few seconds. Alright, we're back. I just run another 20 laps after making a slight adjustment to the car. Now granted, I couldn't really do a lot with the right front camber because I got it basically as low as it'll let me go. But I did adjust the left front camber to bring it more in line with where it was. It was like at -9, or negative 0.9 rather, and I got it up to a positive 1.1 right now. And as we go over to the tires and look at the tires, compared to what we had, our right front tire looks about like it did before. We had 94, 94, and 95. And that's the best I'm going to get that one, unless maybe I drop the tire pressure slightly. I might be able to get a little bit better, but to make the tire softer so it kind of flattens out a little bit more. But on the right or left front, this is where the change is really starting to become apparent. Remember how we had like a 96, 95, something like that for the middle and inside wear on the tire, and we had 100% or no wear at all on the outside of the tire. The outside of the tire was significantly hotter, the inside of the tire was significantly hotter than the outside. Well, just by making that slight change of a little over 1 degree positive versus almost 1 degree negative, we now have a lot flatter tire on the left front going through the corner, which means that tire is going to contribute more grip to the overall handling process. Now, when it comes to camber, as a general rule, when you're on a left-hand oval car, up to a point, the more right front camber you have in it, or the more negative the right front wheel is, the faster you can go through the corner. You'll get more speed through the corner because you're getting more grip from more of the tire being in contact with the pavement. Up to a point. There will be a point where if you get it too far negative, it won't lay up flat enough, or it won't come up flat enough or go positive enough to get the tire flat in the corner. So therefore you're not going to get as much grip. In this particular car here, that's actually happening. I can't get it any more positive than it is. So what I see on the right front up here, this is as best as it's going to get on this car, at least with the rest of the setup being equal. Now I might be able to get a little more camber out of it if I play with some of the other settings like ride heights or whatnot, but as it sits right now, this is as best as it gets for the right front. Now, Same thing with the left front. The left front I've got a lot more playing around room with, and I could probably get these even better. I could probably get these closer. I can get these down to maybe a 97 or 98s. Both through tire pressure and through adjusting camber, because I got a lot more adjustability on the left front than I do the right front. And if you notice, the same thing's kind of happening on the rear here, but we'll go over that in more depth when we get to the rear. Anyway, that kind of brings it to the end for this particular lesson, and we'll see you in the next one.